as I know many of you know me as Professor Mary, and I see some friendly faces, and especially Andrea. It's great to see you. This is
Yes, thank
really your
you.
session, but I said I wanted to be a guest because it's very exciting. It's been a year. It's been a year
Yes,
since we were all together,
it has.
and I'm excited to hear what you've accomplished in that time. And you'd be very proud of the group that was yeah, we had in the fall. They were fabulous.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Yeah, and the program itself, just to give you a little background for some people who may not know, we have been in existence for probably almost 5 years now, maybe, and grew out of the Dream Builder project for a program for women entrepreneurs, and I call them rising economies or rising situations because I think that that's what we're doing here. And we've had 4 cohorts, and Andrea is one of the cohorts from last spring. And we were that probably one of the highlights, or one of the sweetest parts of last spring's is when Andrea brought some of her popcorn for us to eat.
Yeah, that was the best part of it.
Was so
Congratulations!
good.
It was so good. It really was.
Thank
So
you.
anyway, we are here for you, and I am going. I told Denora and everyone else, and Miriam and Cindy that I will be available for all of the women for going forward in this program, and I'm going to try to be guest at these talks and be available in other ways. So I don't want to take any more of your time, Andrea. So I'm going to.
No, thank you. I'm honored that you're here and that you logged on to say hello. And I would love to hear more ideas and suggestions that you can offer as well. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you,
Well,
Dr. Sully. And I'm going to
thank
share
you.
my screen right now. So I want to welcome everybody, and I just want to talk about a little bit about the program. Program Dreamcatcher is created by Freeport McMoran. They are the sponsors, and it's a free business training program for Native American women entrepreneurs. So anybody who has like an idea of starting their own business, anybody who's been doing it already, what we do is we give them the tools and the training to the level of an MBA business classes. Dr. Sul is one of the faculty that has been involved from the beginning, and we're very thankful for that, and she's been great. Also, we do on-site visits to local businesses. We have advising sessions with successful entrepreneurs, and we do a lot of networking, not only with the people that has been through the program like Andrea, but also with Thunderbird alumni. Thank you everybody for being here, and I just want to pass it on to Andrea, and she's going to start talking about her own business and her own experience at the program Dreamcatcher.
Hi, so again, I'm Andrea Salcido, and I've had Kettlelicious for a little over 5 years now. It's continued to grow, and I think it's growing a little bit faster than what I realize. And so, I mean, that's always a positive thing, you know. And I'm just really grateful for the Project Dreamcatcher that invited me out to participate and all the camaraderie with all of these awesome women. And I hope that in the future you will be able to continue that. And I know that you are going to continue, right, in the aspect of maybe doing, you know, webinars and series like that for training, and which I think is awesome. But I really want to encourage everyone, you know, and anyone to participate and just get involved in that aspect, even if it's just a small little idea that you may have, because it's definitely worthwhile and very helpful. And it's helped me definitely to continue to grow the business and to be, to not be afraid, you know, and encourage. It was very encouraging to help me in that aspect. But I just think that things, with the way that things are right now, you know, it was very, in the beginning, it was a little real scary because I wasn't sure what was going to happen and how it was going to work with their business, and if we were going to continue, you know, to be able to work and to get out there and vend. fortunately for me, my business is mobile. So I was able to take my business to different locations. And fortunately also I have two different setups that I use for my business. And so one is a canopy setup, you know, which I would use pretty much for longer periods of time, bigger shows if I was going to be there, say, you know, a series of days, you know, versus one event that was going to be just a couple of hours long. And so I had my other, my concession trailer that I would use for those shorter events. And since I vend out here in Tucson at the Davis Monthan Air Force Base, I'm one of the vendors there, and I vend there weekly. So throughout the week, Tuesday through Friday, I set up there during the day. And they asked us to be exclusive to the base just because they were taking extra precaution, you know, with this whole COVID-19 thing. And so fortunately, I was able to use my setup and leave it there. And so I was using my mobile trailer to go out to different locations and set up. And that's how I have kept my business going, you know. So for me, I'm very thankful that I had that opportunity and availability to do that. And that we were, you know, we had to follow the CDC guidelines, of course, with everything that's going on. But I think one of the most important things was, I guess, you know, kind of the discussion of this webinar is for how to, you know, to pivot our business, is I had to go online a lot more. I had to do a lot of advertising online. My website, I have a website for my product, but I really wasn't promoting that website because it still needed some work to be done, right? So I had like online ordering system, but I really wasn't too sure how I was going to do orders online out of state, you know, because of the cost of shipping. So I'm still working on all of that, trying to get more information regarding the shipping processes and what's going to be more cost effective for my customer. But it's you know what, I've been afraid to kind of go into that realm, but I've kind of been forced into that now, because in doing so, in having to go online more and do more advertising and to show my product, I feel like more people are kind of glued now, you know, to social media. And so whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, or whatever method you're using, there are a lot more people now that are paying attention to the websites, you know, and that information that you're posting out there. And I really got to see that because just from last year, for example, like for around Easter time, I have a special flavor that I use, which is that I put out, which is an Easter mix, just a variety of flavors and colors that I put out there. And I did it last year, and it went okay, you know. But this year, when I did it, it was like an overwhelming experience of orders that I got in, and people commenting, and people asking information about the website, how can they order? And it was just a really drastic change from even last year, you know, or what it would be normally. And so, which was great. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, where is this all coming from, you know? But you just have to realize that that's the world that we live in now. And we have to really pay attention to that and do what we can to learn more about that, I think, to put ourselves and our business out there, regardless of what product it is that you have.
So Andrea, I have a question for you. If you have a business, and some of the ladies have like shared that they have a really hard time understanding how to start using any e-commerce, how to start like implementing the payments on the website. So can you just give us a little bit of the first step that you took in order to start doing that?
Yes, definitely. You know, I've had a couple of different platforms since I started the business of developing my website. And at first, I didn't have the online ordering option. You know, I just kind of started a basic website because I knew that I wanted to start offering my product online. I just wasn't ready for that yet, but we started very small. There's a program that you can go, a platform called Wix. I think it's WIX. And that was very easy, a platform that I think anybody can just go on. And if you play with it, I think they're helpful and they can help you to just develop that site, you know. And then eventually when I got to the point where I developed the website for ordering processes, I had somebody help me to develop that, because of course I'm so busy out here with events and, you know, trying to get out there. If I'm not trying to promote events, I'm preparing for one that's coming up, things like that. So I did have someone help me to develop the website, and he did that, you know, to where the payment process through PayPal is what it is right now, is where when you could go online and purchase through PayPal. And the person that I found to do it, he did a good job, you know. I think it does still need some enhancing, and I'm definitely looking into that right now, especially because I know more people are flooding to the websites and you know, going that route right now. There's a lot more interest I see online in my business, and so I really want to enhance and improve that, so that when people go to the website, you know, they'll be able to get through it easily and view the products and order, you know, and feel secure about making the payment online. And so he was able to develop that website for me. And he even was able to, I made monthly payments to pay it off, you know. So that was an investment that I was grateful for at the time, because I don't think I would have been able to just pay him, you know, a couple $1,000s at the time for him to develop the website for me.
Yeah,
So,
that was my question for you, Andrea. What was was there a cost, and how did you find that you were able to pay it over time?
yes, you
They
know,
work with you?
the way that I found this person, Jeremy Wallace is his name. He's the one that created the website that I currently have. I actually found him on one of the websites for an event that I was going to attend. I was going to be vending there. I saw that they were doing advertising for that event, and I looked him up because I really liked what I saw. And I said, oh, this is so cool. Like, you know, it's interactive. I'm going to try to get a hold of this guy, whoever it was that developed this site. And I did. And that's how I was able to locate him. So even just by doing that, if you see a website that you really like, you can try to figure out who developed that website. You know, how can I get their information? And even if you reach out to that business, I'm sure they'll be more than willing to give that information to you and pass that along. You know, if they're happy with their service, and you can get that information and you just, you know, reach out to them. Like I said, not everybody's going to have that option where they'll allow you to make payments on it, but it's definitely out there. You can find that. I know that Vistaprint, I know that they also assist you in developing websites, and, you know, they'll manage that site for you, of course, for a monthly fee. I haven't gone on to try that, but I have seen that they do offer that as well. So I order my business cards through Vistaprint, and that's right now is just the most cost-effective way that I have found, you know, to get that. And I have seen them advertise that they will help you.
And can you tell us how you start, like, using different resources and even aligning your business with other businesses that they were like going through the same challenges during this time, and you actually got together to start going to different events, and that actually is working out really well for you? Can you just
Definitely. Yeah, that's what has helped keep us alive, I think, is that we are coordinating and collaborating with other vendors. Because we are mobile, we have that ability to go to different locations, to different neighborhoods, and bring bring the event to them. And, you know, so a lot of people live in rural areas and things like that, and they live far from in town, where they don't want to go drive to go get their meals, you know, for food. And so we collaborate and make our own little events, and we're going into different neighborhoods, and we're doing that. We're offering our services there, you know. And so that's one thing that's been very helpful, is that people are more than willing to help right now. They're being very generous, you know. We're out there vending, and people are definitely, you know, tipping really well, and you know, buying your product, and they want to help. They want to support local people out there, you know, especially all of these restaurants and things. You know, that's all it is right now, is people ordering online, you know, calling in your orders, pick up, things like that. So fortunately for us, we've been able to collaborate together and plan our own little events, you know, and
And
when we would have to,
and
you
you
know,
do this online. I mean, how do you create these collaborations?
yeah, so basically just keeping in touch with each other, you know. Yeah, definitely we do our advertising online is how we get it out there. We do Facebook, Instagram, you know, those are the two sites that we mainly use for our advertising. Facebook is awesome for that, you know. I know for the people who may not have Facebook, you know, some people just have maybe like an Instagram account or something like that. So we'll use that also just to put the same information out there. But advertising with Facebook, one important thing I think to mention with that is, of course, if you're going to post something on your site, not everyone's going to see it. You know, there's only a select few people that will see that post. And so one thing that they do is they charge, you know, to boost that post. And so it doesn't cost very much for you to do that. You know, anywhere from $3 to, I don't know, $20, you know, depending on how many people you want to see, but it's going to get it out there, and it's going to, you can target different areas. You know, if you're going to be in a specific area, you can definitely target that area, but just in the general area from wherever you're from, you know, you can target those places, and people are going to see that post. You know, it's going to pop up on their feed when they're just browsing through Facebook, and somebody who may not have ever heard of you will see it and say, oh, hey, like, you know, I'm definitely looking for some kettle corn, because I get that all the time. Like, oh, I was just browsing and I just saw this. Or if we put signs out on by the road, you know, that is another thing. Signs has definitely been very helpful. I'll put it on the corner of the road, and people will come say, you know, I was driving by and I saw this sign, and, you know, I found that you guys were here, and I think it's awesome. Thanks for coming out here. You know, they're really appreciating that.
Yeah, I think also Facebook has been great during this time. They actually given free boost for different for commercial, especially small businesses. So you can do
Yes.
it for free right now. I don't know if you took
Yes.
advantage of that, but I mean, you can put like $20, but they won't charge your credit card, because they're trying to help the local small businesses to get more, you know, exposure. And I think
Yes.
Facebook has been very aware of the situation. So I've seen a lot
Yeah.
of my local restaurants around here popping on my feed because of Facebook.
That's awesome. You know, I don't think I have seen that, and I haven't taken advantage of that, but I will definitely look into that, because that's definitely helpful. You know, we'll boost, and it doesn't even take much. Like I said, anywhere from $3 to $5, $10 that you put into that makes a huge difference, and so many more people will see that, you know, so it's helpful. But thank you for sharing that, because I'm going to definitely look into that, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I
Take
seen it. I
advantage.
mean, I seen it and I read about it, so I can send you some information too.
Right. Thank you.
Well, another thing that
Can I,
yeah, go ahead.
can I ask a question? This is Bridget,
Yes.
and you had mentioned something about the e-commerce and how you are linked up with PayPal. And I wanted to ask you about any of the other platforms that are out there, if you have ventured out into them, or you've stayed away, or is it something that was recommended by the website builder? So like Venmo and Zelle, and I know
So,
PayPal.
so do you have any recommendations, essentially, is what you're asking, Bridget?
Well, I just wanted to know if how you went about choosing the vendor.
So I think that I chose PayPal because at the time I had a PayPal account, and that's how I was accepting my payments. I had the software for it. And so since the beginning, I started using PayPal. I think I tried, I was banking with Chase, and they had some type of, you know, system that they were using also. And I tried that, but I found that comparing that to PayPal, there were a little bit more fees involved with that. So
Yeah, I
I
know
chose to.
Square has some fees too.
Yeah, so Square, exactly. So I use Square when I'm out vending, but for on the online platform, I do use the PayPal to go through, and only because at the time I felt like it was a little bit easier for processing, and that's what I knew at the time. now I do accept payment through Zelle, through Venmo, because I have people requesting that and asking. And so it doesn't take much but to just sign up for that. And if
Right.
it's, if it's going to be, because that's what they are using, then I'm going to go ahead and accept that, because I mean, I know there are going to be tons of other people, who use different types. And so I went ahead and signed up for all of them, so that I can take that payment if I need to online, whatever. But it's PayPal through the website,
Okay.
just because
So
that's what we use.
PayPal's only on the, well, it's the only option on the website, but then when you're at an event, you might have 3 or 4.
Exactly. So
Okay.
I use Square. I really like the Square, what do you call it? The little processing things, that you use for the Square. I really like those. And so they're just really easy to use. And that's why I use Square. And like I said, just the fees were a little bit less with Square compared to like with the Chase, or I know Costco even has one. And there was a little bit more expense getting started with that process through Costco, but in the end, I guess you pay a little bit less. So you got to kind of compare all those different options that you have and look at that carefully, what the fees are going to be up front,
Right.
versus in the long run, if you're going to continue paying fees, down the road. So, but
Okay. Thank you. I was just curious.
awesome. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and one of the other things that I wanted to talk about is how you are using your customer base. I mean, how are you tapping into your loyal customers? How are you pampering them, or like giving promotion, any codes so they can buy your products? I mean, how are you doing that?
I haven't gotten into doing anything like that, but it's been on my mind. It's been on my heart to do things like that. But I have, to deepen the loyalty with the customers, I definitely keep in contact with them and make sure that I'm responding. You have to be very active, with your business and your online presence. When you're going to be there and they ask a question, you have to make sure that you're there and you're available to respond. I don't like to wait very long. I do my best to respond right away. And it kind of takes me being there and spending a lot of time on my phone, or whether it's on the computer, whatever it is. But I'm keeping that interaction with my customers to make sure that I'm, answering their questions, or if they're placed an order. One thing is, a lot of my friends have been very helpful in sharing, even sharing the different posts, because their friends are going to see that, you know what I mean? So I'm very grateful for that also, and keeping in touch with them, meeting new friends, people, just because my online presence has been so much more now, I'm getting a lot more customers, people ordering from out of state, where before it was just local pretty much, and I was afraid to go into that. Oh my gosh, what's the cost going to be? What am I going to do if somebody orders from out of, town or out of state even? So I've shipped to Pennsylvania, I've shipped to New Mexico recently, California, all these other different states, I've been able to ship out to, and that's just in keeping in touch with people and putting, that information out there, and advertising, don't be afraid to do that. Advertising, definitely. When I was talking about the Facebook advertising, putting the people like to see, they're very visual. So they want to see what is it that you're offering. And so I like to do that a lot. I'll put a new flavor out, so to get people excited, because they want to see, oh, what's new, what's coming out. They always ask me, what's new this month? What's the flavor of the month? And pictures, it doesn't take much. I use my phone, it doesn't have to be professional. You just take a picture the best way you can. Right now, phones are awesome. Like my son is better at it than I am, but he'll go into all these different programs on my phone and, taking awesome pictures. I'm like, oh, this is great. I mean, it's great if you can hire someone to take professional pictures for you, but you don't really need to do that, because, as long as you put it out there and you're passionate about whatever it is that you're selling and putting out there, that's what's important, and people want to see that you care about what you're selling and what you're putting out there and what you're offering. And just being present with them, I think is the most important thing, and responding to people,
Yes, and I think it's really important also to have the benefit of collaboration. like we were talking about the partnerships that you're creating with other vendors in
Yes.
this specific time, because you can create these special events. But
Right.
I also think is in order to have a customer base and what you can offer in exchange. I feel like a lot of people are looking for that kind of collaboration. I can help
Yes.
you, and let's say if I'm a graphic designer and I know how to do a website, maybe I need a different service from someone else, and then you can start collaborating with each other. So that's
Exactly. Yeah. And that's one thing that's been very, very helpful too. And another thing about the Facebook advertising and things like that, and collaborating with other people who, may be selling, a similar product, or maybe it's not even the same, but, if you collaborate and you're doing things together, if I share on my page and they share on their page, that's so many more people who are going to see what you're offering, and, more clients that you may be able to get, because of that. And so that collaboration with other people, and don't be afraid to ask and reach out to people either. The worst that they can say is no, thank you. I've gone through that before, where I've asked other people, if they're going to be set up somewhere, for example, hey, would you like some company? Like if you're offering food, maybe you'd like to offer dessert,
Mhm.
And I've had one person tell me, no, I don't think that's a good idea, especially because, I don't know, maybe they just want more customers, for they don't want to share, I guess, that, the customers with them, but that's okay. That's fine. There are so many more people out there that are willing to collaborate with you, to share with you, to help you out, and to offer that. And so it's been great. That's how I've been able to meet so many more people and be a part of so many other events because of that. Just reaching out to them and saying, hey, how are you doing? And
And
can I join you?
are you using any organization or any, I mean, I know that you are from the Tucson area. Is there any place or any Facebook page that everybody's joining in, or any, any advice that you can give on that for vendors?
For us, for
Mhm.
mobile food vendors, we do have a site that they have. It's there's a couple of different sites actually. I mean, if anyone is interested, I can definitely share that, the specific sites of what it is. But there are sites specifically for Tucson food trucks, that we go to, and they're offering suggestions. They're saying, hey, this is going on over here, or we'll be out here, share your product, things like that. That is just helping everybody, in the community, and in the food vending community also, so that we have access to that and we can see that, and they're sharing that with everybody. And I'm sure if you just look it up and search on Facebook, whatever it is that you sell, whatever it is that you're looking for, you're going to find something. You're going to find some type of group that's going to be there to help you, to support you, to give you suggestions, to give you advice, things like that, because that is definitely helpful. Now things are starting to open up a little bit more. There are other little events popping up here and there, and so they'll tell us, on this date, we're looking for, food vendors for this certain, to feed at the hospital, or even like that, something like that. And so there are so many groups on Facebook that you can join that, deal with your business, and whatever it is that you may be doing. And that is just definitely helpful. It is very helpful to do that.
It makes me think, Andrea, when you were saying your second point was leveraging your existing resources, and it's almost like you're leveraging the existing resources as a part of this collaboration. Because if you look at those relationships as a resource, so it's a resource to you, it's a resource to others, and so it kind of they're very much related. That notion of collaboration and having all of these resources, because you think about resources as something you have to buy or
Right.
something that you have to purchase, but resources can also be these relationships and all of these other opportunities out there.
Exactly, definitely. And you don't know what people have to offer, unless you connect with them and you ask. Don't be afraid to ask, and put your information out there and say, I'm really looking for this. Can somebody help me with this? Does anybody have any suggestions? Put it out there. And I can guarantee somebody's going to, answer and respond to that and help you, with whatever it is that you're needing.
And sometimes I find with some of the women that I work with, they're just as apprehensive too. They're a little bit nervous. And so when someone else does it, then they think, oh, okay, I can do this too. So it's, if you're apprehensive and then you make that opportunity or you make that ask, then lots of times people will feel that their guard goes down. They're like, oh, good, great. This is something I've wanted to do, but I didn't know how to do it.
Yes, exactly. And that is the biggest fear that we have to get past. And we just got to do it, because that's one thing to be apprehensive about. Starting a business even, no matter how small you think it may be, or, oh, everybody's doing it. It doesn't matter. That's what people used to tell me, like, oh, are you going to be able to survive, like making kettle corn? Like, that's it. Like, what are you doing, But yeah, I have my own ideas, and I had my own goals that I wanted to accomplish. And so don't be afraid to put it out there and to get started and be apprehensive about it, because you'll definitely be surprised of what you can accomplish and how far you'll go,
So I just want to open up now the floor to everybody who has a question or a comment, and we want to hear about how you are actually coping right now with this situation, the challenges that you've been having, and if you are collaborating with any organization or online group or on Facebook, so to promote your business. Anybody who wants to share? Valerie?
Yeah, definitely interested in hearing any other ideas. Hey, Valerie, how are you?
I miss you guys.
I know. It's so awesome.
So cool. I'm so proud of you. I'm like, yay. I even follow you on social media. So I'm one of your people. I'm like, holy gosh, she's really good out there. And your flavor of the month, I saw some interesting new flavors. I thought that was cool.
Yes. So I did the birthday cake flavor is what I just started. And then I have this idea. I'm like, oh, chocolate cake. I'm like, I need to do chocolate. And my son's like, slow down. Like, we just put the birthday cake out there. And I'm like, I know, but I have all these ideas of flavors.
Yeah. I thought that was really cool.
Thank you.
Let's see. I don't know. What was the question again? The pivoting. So just kind of, I think it's the same thing, collaborating, not being scared, talking with somebody. I really love that you said, if it's all out there and you think that it's saturated, it's actually not. I mean, even though it is, it's the quality, and I feel like it's the passion that you bring and the kind of love, the fun, you know what I mean? I've been seeing what you were doing, and then you even did the mask with your logo. I thought that was cool.
Yes.
So doing those type of things to try to get back out, I think that's really awesome. So I'm kind of, with my stuff and the consulting, it's really changed now because I can't be out there in the community. So I'm really trying to do virtual stuff. So like using Zoom, having fun with Zoom, trying the webinar deal, but that one's a little bit more expensive. So the Zoom has been fun. Facebook, I'm trying to think of if I can use Instagram Live. So some of that is actually really good to kind of just go with the times, you know what I mean? I think you have to think out of the box. You have to kind of go where it's going to go and kind of see that. And I did a show yesterday. It does look a little janky, but I was like, it's our first show. We had a really amazing response, which I'm so excited about. I have built my email list, so it went out. I got people all over the country watching. So it was really neat. We got really good response on it. So that's kind of just my spiel.
That is awesome. You know, one thing I was going to mention when you're mentioning the Zoom and the meetings, I logged on to Twitch. I don't know if you've heard about Twitch. But I know that whole realm has changed in the aspect of it was used for gaming. So people would play games together and they were able to talk with each other and they're playing games, right? So right now, a lot of the instructors, because I think mentally and physically, keeping up with that and being healthy is very important too during this time, because we can kind of overwork ourselves and just being so nervous about everything, and that can drive us crazy, you know? So one thing is working out for me. And so Zumba is my go-to thing. I'm like, I don't care what time it is. I can always go on and find one of my favorite instructors to do the class, but she's using Twitch. And I kind of find it to be, the picture may be a little bit clearer than Zoom. And so I don't know if that's something you can look into and try that, but that's
Yeah.
another platform that you might be able to try.
Yeah,
I know they have all this social media stuff too. Like, so I don't know if I only stick with two because it can get overwhelming. They also
Yes.
have Snapchat, and then what's that new one? The one where they dance.
TikTok.
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 Yeah.
Yeah, that's too much for me, and I need maybe more like my niece and my nephew to kind of help me more with those. But I'm like, okay, I'm done with those. And they help me with some of them, but if they're not there, I'm like, I'm good. I mean, I already have two, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you were saying a little bit overwhelming, and Andrea, you sort of alluded to this, because we are all sort of we have no place else to go. We're not
Yes.
traveling or anything. It's almost like we're working 24/7 in a lot of
Yes.
ways. And so having that time away from the screen or away from our work, it's really hard to separate that. I was talking to a friend of mine who's a counselor, and I said, I don't know why I'm so exhausted. She said, because there's no break. And,
Yes.
because the break you take is to go, my son needed lunch or my husband. So those are the breaks you have, but that's not really a break. I take a break to go do the laundry and to do the dishes. Those aren't breaks. So
Yep.
you're right about the Zumba and trying to find lines of demarcation, try to separate things in our life. Otherwise, it just becomes just nonstop all the time.
Exactly. And that's the one thing, is I feel like I'm working harder now. Before I had all of these events that I was doing, and I thought that I was crazy busy then. I feel it now. And I think a lot more, it's just emotional also, because of what we're going through right now and just having to deal with it all. But because I'm constantly on my social media, trying to keep up with it all. And so it is very emotionally and mentally draining, physically. And so that's one thing that just definitely helped me. I'll put it on my calendar. Like I have to work out, because that's what helps me kind of just like, bring myself down to a notch, and yeah, it is kind of physically more draining, but it helps me mentally, so.
I think a thing that I'm learning, because I had to transition kind of leaving the house, going to the office, and then I started working at home. So I have a home office now, and a thing that I kind of saw that they're recommending is separate, the office from, even if it's in your bedroom or if it's down the
Yes.
hall or something, try to separate it and don't, leave that work there like you do at your office
Yes.
versus trying to mingle it. And when you're done with something, be done with it and then move on to the next task. Because usually, right, if you're at the office or something, your mind is still kind of running and you're like, have all these lists and stuff, but then they're like, get out, maybe 5 o'clock, whenever it's time to leave, you're like, get out of here. And then you forget about it. You're like, okay, good. You're still thinking about it, but you don't see it anymore. But having
Right.
a home office, it's really a lot harder. So that's kind of what I'm kind of learning right now too, and the scheduling and the working out and kind of like eating healthy and like, hey, I'm supposed to give myself the 15-minute break. And then I do the same thing as Mary does. And I'm like, oh, I can go do laundry. I can go wash these real quick. I can go, do something. And then you come back and you're like back at it again. And you just kind of keep going. And it's like, oh, why am I so tired? I should be a lot better. So I
Yeah.
think it's just learning some of that is important.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Dr. Sully, can you give any advice on how we need to take breaks? I mean, in this new reality, especially with everybody working online and being always like in a go-go motion?
Okay, yeah, I'd be happy to do that. One thing that I've been reading a lot about this too, but getting up a little bit earlier every day if you can, depending on how early you get up, and having some time to yourself where you can just carve that out and sort of think about like what sometimes you can meditate or just take some time to sort of center and then plan your day. Also to then, so that's something that many people have recommended when as you start your day. Also, not to always be checking email. It's very hard to do, but it does take up a lot of your time because you'll be working on a task, you'll check your email, then you'll do that, and then if you get back to the task, and sometimes you just don't get anything done, or you don't get very much done. So to block off times to actually do those things that you need to do, but that goes with planning your day also. Things come up, that you can't help, that so, if you get off track, it's okay, that happens. But just finding ways to chunk out your day can be very helpful. And another thing, when it comes to planning meals, trying to do things in advance as much as you can, to give yourself some time, so that way it's like a little bit easier when you have to do your cook or do whatever. Also designate times when you're going to do laundry, and you're going to do those kinds of things. Have it kind of work those in to the day that you have, if you can, because then you're constantly doing this. That's what I found myself doing when all of this first started. I felt like I was just doing kind of housework all day, kind of, because I wasn't accustomed to doing that. We're not accustomed to being home all the time, and having everyone else there too, or having other people there where you're taking care of them as well. So planning like that, kind of chunking it out, not checking your email, so that you do keep those times blocked off. We think that we are good at multitasking, especially women, because we have to do so much.
Mhm. Yeah.
But in fact, the research shows we're really not. We aren't. We do a lot of things, and we try to multitask, but it's actually not very effective. So trying to block off times when you get things done does actually help. It's something that can be very helpful. Also, really sort of reaching out. When you're saying that, um, going into your network, talking to people. Sometimes just talking to a friend or someone that you've maybe worked with before, or that you're a cousin or something, to every once in a while to sort of get that, you sort of fill your cup back up again, your cup of tea, and you're sort of refreshed. I've done that a few times with people I haven't spoken to in some time, and it can help you get just a better perspective, and then you're more fresh. Like Andrea, you were saying, you do Zoom, and even though it's physically exhausting, it's actually mentally refreshing.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
And even though we're in kind of constant contact, it seems, on Zoom or whatever, on social media, we're really not in some ways. We're sort of communicating, but we're not making that connection, that real human connection that you can do online and you can do on the phone or whatever. But it can be very helpful to do those things. So maybe those will be kind of helpful tips for you, um, as to adjust to this new reality that none of us we're really ready for or
Mhm.
accustomed to. Um, but I think even the resources of each other in the Dreamcatcher network, I think these kinds of forums, Denora, I think this is just a wonderful idea that you guys came up with to do this. Really, really a great way to stay connected. But even amongst yourselves, just dropping a note and saying, hey, let's have a catch up, let's, and you can exchange ideas that way too. But sometimes you just want to make sure that you're kind of checking in psychologically, because it's, you don't get a lot of real feedback that you
I
do when
think
you're,
you missed Mary when Andrea was sharing with us how she got introduced to Zoom. She got introduced
oh,
to Zoom and happy hour with her friends, right, Andrea?
Yes, that was the
oh,
first time I downloaded Zoom because a friend of mine, she's a teacher, so she uses Zoom with her students. And so she said, I'm going to invite you guys, let's get together. And that was just awesome for us to be able to do that. And I didn't realize, just as simple, even seeing somebody on the screen and being able to communicate that way, how much of a difference it makes, for you. And it was definitely helpful, for me. So we did happy hour a couple of times, and that's how I was introduced to it.
That
Andrea,
was your introduction.
Andrea, do you mind sharing your Zumba instructors
Yeah.
websites or links so that we can?
Yeah, so
I know,
like
right? We can all Zumba together.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Definitely. So I used to be a Zumba instructor, and my friend Rosemary, she also, she's the one that got me into it, and so we were talking about maybe doing some kind of class, like we'd have to call it dance fitness because I'm no longer certified through Zumba, but it's just something that's our outlet, you know what I mean? That we like to. There are so
Look
many.
at Val. Val had your shirt there.
Oh,
What's-
that's crazy though, because I'm actually getting I got my certification too, and I've been wanting to build up to it. And
Oh, no
there's
way.
a platform. Yeah, we should collab and do one on the Dreamcatcher page.
That is so
Nice.
awesome. Yes,
That's
I would
great.
love
I'll
to do
be
that.
there.
Yes,
I'll go.
yes.
Yeah,
I
me
think
too.
we'll all be there.
Yeah, we have to do one. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and I can definitely share with you a couple of my favorite instructors that I like. And like I said, I watch them through Twitch, and that's how I've been doing Zumba. And the great thing, right now, where normally at the gym is the only time that I would take her class, right? When is at the gym, but then it shut down. And now she records her classes. And even if I miss it at the live, when she's doing it at 6 p.m. or whatever, and I miss it, I can go on later and I do it. I did it last night at 9:30.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I am very grateful for that because I'm still able to get that workout in for me, and it's something that's important to me. So that's awesome. But I can share that with you. I don't know how, if you look up Twitch, her name is DJ Freshy Fran. It's kind of funny because she's not a DJ. That's her name on Twitch, and she's one of my favorite instructors. She's just very similar to, I guess, how I used to teach. So, but yeah, I would definitely love to collaborate with you, Val, and we could do something and offer a class or something.
Yeah, I wanted to do free because I happen to do a couple, maybe like a handful to maybe 10 classes on my own, and I was collabing, in the community. And then right when I was like, I'm gonna go do it, I'm gonna go get paid for this, and then the whole shutdown happened. And I was like,
Right.
never mind.
And now that's funny. Yeah, that's crazy how that happens. But it gives you a little bit more time. When I first became an instructor and got certified, it took me maybe a year before I actually did a class because I was so afraid, to get in front of people and do it, and I loved it. And people would tell me all the time, oh, you should be an instructor. But I was afraid, so it took me a long time. So kudos to you, that's awesome.
I just remember I told you guys that first day, just do it. And I had to do that to myself. Plus, I paid all that money. I was like, you better get out there or get your money back.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
But those are great tips. Thank you guys for sharing that. I think I'm going to start looking for that lady online, and I'm going to start working out to the Zumba.
I found her.
Please share it.
I found her already. Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining. We have we have new people, and I just want to welcome Valerie Molina. Valerie is actually the mayor from the town of Guadalupe. She is a leader woman, and I'm trying to pitch the idea to start implementing Dream Builder over there, and hopefully Dream Catchers in the future. And I know that some of you have been through the program, like a Dream Catcher, but also the Dream Builder. And Dr. Sully has been a great advocate for this, and we're so thankful to have you with us today, Dr. Sully. She hasn't been feeling well, and so this is very, very grateful. We're very grateful that you actually had the time to be with us today.
Well, it's my honor and pleasure, and it's great to see everyone, to see new names and faces, but then also some that I remember from our time together. And it's great that you are willing also to be resources for others and also new people, because to hear your stories, I think is really important, especially that apprehension that you have about kind of going out and doing it and trying something new, like the the social media, the different platforms, the different, even payment methods, all of those things. It's hard to do that for the first time, or to, because you think you're going to make a mistake. But I teach leadership, and I think one of the most important things is to make a decision, because you can always course correct, right? But if you don't make that decision or take that step, you don't go anywhere. So making those first steps, and you can always change, and like Andrea, you were saying that you've done this so many times. I mean, you've swerved, your path has never been straight, right?
No.
Even just coming up with the way that you decided to start your business. And you were apprehensive. I remember your story. You were, you made, kettle corn, but who's gonna, not a business. And then it kind of turned into one because everyone loved it so much, right?
Yes.
She needs to
Yes.
send me more.
Yes. So you have been like one of my top customers. I've been shipping out to her now a variety of flavors. And so she sent me a picture the other day of a bag that I sent her. It was empty. It was crumbs.
Yeah, it was gone. It disappeared.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's funny that you guys are talking about the just do it. Amidst all that's going on, we're rolling with the punches. We're going. The guys are busy. We're hiring people. And through this whole thing, we've also started a nonprofit here a couple weeks ago. So we're just going, trying to help as many people as we can and keep guys employed.
Can you share what is the nonprofit and what are you guys doing with it?
It is, generally it started, we were, my family donated and the business matched, and we took food out to our small community of Cameron, and then we're offering garbage and landfill services. So we're taking our dump trailer or truck out there and bringing it back because we don't have those services available out there.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Then I talked to my accountant and I said, hey, how do I, where do I classify this? Where do I account for these monies? And he told me, he's like, you know what? He's like, why don't you just start a nonprofit? He's like, let's just go for it. He's like, you're doing the work, you're out there, it's going. So he's like, I will donate my time and services to do all the paperwork.
Oh, wow.
And so at that point, I went back and I talked to my husband and my kids, and they're like, okay, sure, whatever. So he did all the paperwork, and now we're like, okay, creating websites, doing the accounts. And so it's like evolving, and we've already done like 100 cases of water. We've done food runs. We've done all kinds of, it's good. I mean, we have our young adults who are like 25, 27, who got their degrees and who are working on their masters, and it's great for them to come back and be able to help in the way of giving back to community we came from. So it's really great. It's, it's kind of scary as to, what's going to happen or how it's going to be, but it's exciting at the same time. So it's fun.
What's really great about what your this nonprofit that you came up with, that it really melds well with your existing business, because you have those resources. You have the trailers, you have those things and that's when people are looking or asking about how do I do social impact, or how can I, you want to do good, but it should stay within sort of like what you would call your wheelhouse, I guess. I hate that terminology, but it's within what you do. And since you have that capability, you have those resources, you're finding another way of utilizing that, and it fits well. You're not inventing something new, you're taking what you have, so it's a very, very good fit. And that's the best way to do so.
Supporter.
Yeah.
Because it was like, we have this stuff. Why not? So It was just one of those things that kept developing, and now this is where we're at.
So do you like when you're out doing your construction work, then do you like work in these like trips to, or are those separate? Do you have to like, you know, separate those businesses?
Well, it was that was initially how it started. That we were just going out there to help and do these services. And when I tried to allocate how we're gonna do our taxes and such, and that's when my accountant said, hey, just do it this way. So that was how it turned out, for easier bookkeeping and keeping the separations.
Mm-hmm.
And it just made more sense and easier tracking purposes.
So do you have to apply for a nonprofit in order to do this?
Yes. And see, if I were going to do it, if I had to do the paperwork, I don't think I would have done it. So when he offered to do it, I'm like, okay, sure, let's do it. Because he was familiar with it. He knew all the guidelines, regulations, and he was going to be doing all our taxes and everything anyway. So he just tells me how I need to, do my books, keep my books, and he'll deal with all that. So it's working out great.
And right now, have you been like doing anything regarding to what's happening with the COVID-19 issues? Like,
what do you mean?
Like,
Are you helping with that?
Are you helping?
In any way?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a part of what you're doing, your nonprofit?
We've right now we're just concentrating on the people of the community. I know some of them are infected, and I know that the lack of services that our community is facing. Mm-hmm. That's going to be water, electricity, hay, food, garbage services, things we take for granted. Mm-hmm. And we just collaborate, get funds, go get whatever, or we have different entities donating such, and we take our trailer and we just load it up, take it out there, and in return we pick up the environmental services stuff and bring it back. So it works out. It's just it's like a weekly thing.
So maybe Evelyn, you can share a website or a Facebook page so people can donate, or we can be aware what you're doing.
Okay, I will share that a little later. I will just put it on the site. Mm-hmm. And I'll have it all there. I have somebody who does that, so he can do that.
So
to kind of go back to just quickly, I know we're probably out of time here. We are, sorry, but for nonprofit organizations, you do have to get that to be officially designated non-for-profit. You have to get the 501c3 rating. Yeah. Is that
501c3? Yes.
501c3, and it does cost a little bit of money because there's paperwork involved, and you have to have an accountant sort of verify things. But there are, if you go online and you search, I don't know about on Facebook maybe, but I know in Google you can find, because I'm on a couple of non-for-profit boards, you can find people who do this stuff for free, that are like they want to volunteer, they're looking for a way to give back, and you might have someone who's like a retired accountant or something like that. And that's how we first found our first accountant for one of the groups one of the organizations I'm in. And so you can find ways to reduce those kinds of expenses if you're really interested in doing that. There are people out there that are willing and really eager to sort of use their expertise to give back. So something to think about if you're ever looking at doing a non-for-profit or starting one like that. But I think it's great that you're doing that. That's great to hear. What a great service that fits so well with what you do already. So.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for everybody to being here. And thank you, Andrea, for sharing all these tips for the ladies. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time of the day. I know it's, everybody's busy right now, and I truly appreciate for you being here online. We're going to start communicating with you through emails, through Facebook. We're going to keep doing this every week. And please just take the time to experiment with your business. You can try, and if you fail, don't be discouraged. You can try again. I think this is the time to just like to go wild with your imagination. It's the time to be innovative and creative, and it's going to be, you know, like great at the end. I think we're living in a different time and a different reality, but it's impacting us, all of us, and this is a great community when we can share ideas. Thank you for sharing, Evelyn, what you're doing right now. That is like, if you have a passion, maybe you can start your own nonprofit. And thank you, Dr. Sully, for giving us that piece of advice. I think that is a great way to share different, you know, like things that we have on our minds, and different ways to cope with this time that we're living on. So thank you, everybody. And hopefully we'll see you next week.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Good to see
Bye.
everyone. Bye.
Everybody.
I'm going to
Thank
go
you.
buy some popcorn now. So.
Yeah, me too.
Me too. I need to get some.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Val.
Bye.
Bye. You guys